What's up, guys? Today we're going to be talking about the Berserker Advanced Class in Middle-earth Shadow of War. I'll be covering which classes are able to become Berserkers, their traits, and what roles they're most effective in. My name is Parkattack. Let's get going. With the Berserker Advanced Class, once again, we have an advanced class that can come from any class. This means that whether the orc is a warrior, an archer, a hunter, savage, defender, or an olog, it'll always be possible to become a berserker. Personally, I really like hunters and savages, but defenders can also serve well as a berserker. Hunters have this nice ranged attack, but they're also pretty decent up close in melee. And once they get that enraged going, they just start throwing spears like crazy, and it's hard to stop. Since savages have their dual axes, when they become enraged, they just start swinging away like crazy, which can make quick work of whatever enemy you might be up against. On top of that, savage berserkers also get a special trait that we'll get into later, which gives them a ranged attack when they probably otherwise wouldn't have one. So speaking of traits, the first trait we'll talk about is Furious Charge. This one's okay as it does do some damage. Not really great damage, but it does a little bit of damage, and it's also used as a gap closer. It's not really anything to write home about, but it's also not completely useless. Rabid, on the other hand, might be. This basically just makes the berserker shout, which disorients nearby targets, which then they usually proceed to not do anything about. In this game, stuns and disorients don't do much because after they pull one off, they'll stun the enemy, they just kind of stand there and they don't really capitalize. So while having a disorienting shout might sound good on paper, it's really not that useful when it actually comes down to the combat. The Berserker's next trait, Rampage, is maybe the only advanced class trait that actually has a negative effect. The description doesn't really tell you much, but basically what it means is that the Berserker will go enraged and it will attack enemies and it will attack friendlies, whatever is nearby. Now, for whatever reason, this doesn't seem to always proc, as it's kind of rare to see your berserkers actually attacking other captains. But because it is possible, and because it is one of the traits, going forward, we're just going to assume that it does always proc, and that it is a problem to have berserkers fighting alongside other captains. Shield Slam is a trait that only defender berserkers get, and it deals a pretty good amount of damage in a large area around the orc, as well as knockback and stun. But once again, like I had said earlier with Rabid, that doesn't really have that much of an effect. Now, if you happen to have a savage berserker, you'll get the trait Flying Axes. This also deals a good amount of damage, but it also gives savages a ranged attack option, which they don't have otherwise. This is a really good trait, and it's one of the reasons why savages are one of my favorite class options for berserkers. The berserker's epic trait, Epic Rage, is one of the best champion traits in the game. The effect is simple, as all it does is extend the duration of any enrage, but any amount of time that you can have your orc enraged is good, and the fact that berserkers naturally come with a lot of enraged traits makes this even better. Alright, so now let's talk about when berserkers are the most effective. Because of their Rampage trait, berserkers excel by themselves as opposed to working alongside other captains. Like I kind of mentioned earlier, it doesn't always seem to proc, so a lot of the time they will work just fine with other captains, but sometimes they'll turn on their friendlies, which will force you to have to run over and intervene and send one of them home. This effectively is removing one of your own captains from the battlefield, so in situations like fortress sieges and defenses, this is obviously not a good thing. Where berserkers do excel though, is in the pit fights. This is obviously because it's an isolated environment, it's 1v1, so it's just the berserker and the enemy, so he doesn't have to worry about any friendly fire. Because of this, and because of the fact that berserkers come with a high amount of base and rages, berserkers are one of the best, if not the best, advanced class for fighting in the fight pits, with Slayer being the only real contender. Another pretty good use for berserkers is to send them on kill missions. This creates an isolated event where the berserker can just go in, kill the enemy, and then move on. As a bodyguard, they can work okay as long as you're not summoning them in with other captains around. And if you do really feel the need to use one in Fortress Defense, it's not such a bad idea to have one as your overlord. By the time the attackers make it all the way into your inner defenses and your overlord is forced to come out, you're probably not going to have a whole lot of allied captains left anyways. All right then, guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I hope you guys all have a nice break for the holidays. I'll be off for a couple weeks, but when I come back, I'll be coming back strong with some more videos and probably even videos at a faster rate than I'm coming out with now. So at least that's the plan. So thank you for watching. Once again, my name is Park Attack. Peace.